Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black Every Day, Artists in Conversation. My name is Michael Mangeson. I am the new Public Program and Outreach Coordinator at the Art Gallery of Alberta. To start this program, I would like to do a land acknowledgement. All of today's presenters, as well as the AJA, are all situated on Treaty 6 territory. We're also in Edmonton, the traditional land of diverse Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota Sioux, Iroquois, Dene, Inuit, and Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Anishinaabe. I'd also like to acknowledge all the Indigenous, Inuit, and Métis people who make Edmonton, Alberta their homes today. AJA Live, Black Every Day in Conversation is made possible in part through support from the Heart and Soul Fund by EPCOR. I would also like to thank the Canada Council for the Arts for supporting our virtual programming as well. One thing to mention is that I will be moderating the chat. So if you have any questions for our Q&A, please write them in the chat and I will answer them at the end, or we will try to answer them at the end. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Darren Jordan, the curator of Black Every Day and the producer of 5 Artists, 1 Love.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is our second webisode for the Black Every Day art show, and we are we're really blessed today because we actually have 2 of the artists that are in the show. And what I would like to do is have an opportunity to introduce to you these people and have you hear their narrative, and at the end of this, perhaps share some thoughts and ideas with the Q&A. But let me just back up. I'll tell you who we are and why we're here. So basically, this is an opportunity for us to share this amazing event this amazing exhibit that is going on at the AJA called Black Every Day. It is 5 Artists, 1 Love, 15th year, and we're highlighting it with an exhibit that encompasses a number of really intriguing ideas and also introduces a number of really amazing local artists. So we're going to be getting into that. Before I do, also want to thank just people that have been associated with us from the beginning that have helped make this happen. I would like to start with thanking my team, Natalie Meyer, who has been, she's our artistic director, and Monique McFarlane, who has been with us for the last few years and is our consultant and support. Jeff Hendrick, who is he's our music director. My wife, Rose, gotta say that for sure. Wouldn't be here without the support of my wife. 5 Artists, 1 Love has a number of volunteers that have been involved over the years, and I just want to give a heads up and a nod to them. This year we're obviously not doing it the way we normally do, but again, we would be remiss if we did not notice and acknowledge a number of volunteers that we have that support us. I want to thank also the AJA, Michael, as you just met, and Helen, Lindsay Sharman, and Catherine Croston and their team for inviting us to actually do the exhibit up in the main forum. So we're really happy to be in the main gallery, and we appreciate the partnership that we've had with the AJA to help facilitate that. Toronto Dominion, TD Canada Trust Bank Group, we want to thank them. We also want to thank the Edmonton Arts Council, who have been supporters of 5 Artists, 1 Love for the last few years, and the Edmonton Community Foundation. We've got some really cool things going on with an organization called Planet Sound, who have helped us develop the marketing and the word out there so that people are aware of what's happening. And so I want to give those guys a shout out as well. I also urge you, if you want to find out some more information about 5 Artists, 1 Love, please check out our website, 5artists1love.com. And you'll get a really comprehensive overview about what it is we've done here in Edmonton, and some videos that highlight some of the art shows as well as the music show. Yeah, so I'm gonna soldier ahead through this, and I will then shortly introduce you to our panel. Five Artists, One Love is an event that has been in Edmonton for 15 years. Its genesis was an art show. Basically, I did not see representation of Black artists in local galleries, and I found it a little bit more prominent of an issue when Black History Month rolled in, and I didn't see anything. And so basically started this notion that we would do an art show that highlights local Black artists, shows what they're doing, and gives people an opportunity to learn about what Black artists are doing in the community, and actually teach people about our community. So it's been great. It's been 15 years, and I'll get into a little bit more as we progress. But first of all, I'm going to introduce Judy Robinson and AJA Louden, and we're going to have them. They're going to have them talk a little bit about themselves. Okay, hey AJ, how are we doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, Darren.
Good,
to see you, man.
Yeah, likewise, my friend. Likewise. Just looking to see if Judy's going to be joining us here right away. In the interim, I'm going to ask you to, you can just tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of how many years have you been an artist? What mediums have you been using? And what do you remember about the first Five Artists, One Love show that you did? When did that happen? I'm gonna throw in two other things too, if you don't mind.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to know what's something that annoys you, and what's something that brings you joy.
Cool. Okay. Good. All good questions. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. So I would say I've been an artist as long as I can remember. You know, some of my first memories are drawing on that old school style of printer paper where you had to rip the perforated edges off the sides.
Oh, wow.
My grandma had stacks and stacks of that, so I was always just drawing, keeping myself busy. Both my parents were busy people. My dad owned a small business, and so just keeping myself busy drawing, making art. And then, you know, when I ran out of that printer paper, I started drawing on the walls a little bit.
Okay.
And now today I'm a muralist. So yeah, I've been an artist really my whole life. Mediums, I use a wide variety of different media to create different types of artwork, you know. So I primarily identify as a muralist, but I do a lot of other experimenting and play around with some installation work. My studio right now is in a wood shop, so I have access to a lot of woodworking equipment. So I'm just enjoying myself trying to just try new things, try new techniques and new tools and technologies and all of that.
Cool.
The number of Five Artists, One Love shows. This is actually my 5th year as a Five Artists, One Love artist. And
Okay.
my first one was back in 2011 at the TU Gallery, the TU Gallery that was a gallery on 124th Street. It's no longer there.
Yes, that's right. That's how we started. Yeah.
So I guess yeah, I have a few different memories from that first show. Yeah, just getting to see my artwork up in a gallery space was interesting for me, and that was a different feeling. You know, before I became a muralist, I was really interested in well, I still am really interested in graffiti and street art culture, and so I saw my work out in the world in different ways, but not normally on the white walls of a gallery. So that was new for me. One specific memory that kind of stuck with me from that TU gallery experience was actually the gallerist putting one of my paintings on the floor. He wanted to display it on the floor, and I had I remember I had to chat with him and say, "Oh, yo, let's just not show this one if we don't have room on the walls."
Oh, I see. Good for you. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So just yeah, having to stand up for myself as an artist, maybe a little bit there, or yeah, one of those moments that made me feel like an outsider looking in a little bit. So
understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, but
was that the
yeah,
first time that had happened?
Yeah, well, that was the first gallery show that I'd been into, and yeah, that's the first time that kind of that had come up with my work, obviously. So, so yeah, that was an interesting and a formative experience too. You know, I think yeah, something I remember and something that I learned from for sure. Yeah, so that would be the answers to those questions. What annoys me? I just did a video workshop series for kids, and we had this little interview process as part of the video workshop series. And that was one of the questions was, what annoys you? And we had the kids ask each other that. And for me, the biggest one that came up for me was this idea of not living up to my potential.
Oh,
but
wow.
That just seemed like too heavy to bring to the kids. So I just said wasting time.
Wait, okay. I'm sure they can relate to that.
Yeah, for sure. So that is one thing that annoys me. And one thing that brings me joy is being in the act of painting. So painting is, really my first love as an artist. I love to experiment and try other things too. But in the middle of a painting, when the whole thing isn't solved yet and I'm still figuring it out, figuring the image out, it's still communicating and speaking to me a little bit. That time and space brings me joy for sure.
Awesome. That's great. I appreciate that. I'll share a little bit about myself in terms of what annoys me and what brings me joy as well. And I think we're going to have Judy joining us here in a moment. But one of the things I would say that annoys me, just generally speaking, anybody knows me knows this. I just don't like rudeness. I don't like rudeness, no matter what your situation is and how you're engaging with people. I just feel that we should always try to approach situations with a degree of dignity and respect. And even if you're not feeling it, you can still engage people that way. So I don't know. It's always been a pet peeve of mine for sure. But one of the things that actually brings me joy is having a collaboration of artists working together and actually creating something that wasn't there, and having people engage, talk about it, be about it, and know that they're leaving with new knowledge and a really interesting experience. So that type of thing always brings me joy, and it's obviously done through the arts in my case. So that's awesome. And I'm wondering if we have Judy, if you're there, you could turn your camera on.
I'm hearing you, but I'm not sure what's going on with I'm on my phone now.
Okay. Well, let's
can you see me? Because I can see you.
I can't see you, but I can hear you. So if you I'm not sure if you have the icon at the top of the screen that has the microphone and the little camera. You might want to engage that.
Okay.
There we go.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Judy. Okay, so Judy, good to have you, my friend. I'm going to ask you the same questions that I asked AJ. My question was, how many years have you been an artist? And this is just a short one. We're going to delve into it a little bit more in depth as we go on. But how many years have you been an artist? What's your medium of choice? What's your medium of choice? And what do you remember about when you first were involved in 5 Artists, One Love? And you want to just double check to make sure that your microphone is on. You can hear me, yes? You can hear us? We can't hear you. So can you engage your microphone? So Judy, we're going to have to get you to turn on your sound if you can access it through your phone there. Still can't hear you, my friend. I'm gonna get Helen, if we can get you to perhaps call Judy or help support her with the sound. That would be awesome. We still can't hear you, but what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna talk briefly about the upcoming.
Is that? Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever been happier to hear anybody's voice.
Oh my gosh.
That's okay. Good. Awesome.
Okay.
I'm glad you got it sorted out. And if you could try to get your camera still and hold the space, we're gonna soldier through.
Well, I have my I have a little thing here. Maybe this can help. Guys, sorry about this.
It's okay.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh.
I think we've all been on
It's
so
not
many
working.
Zoom calls.
I'm going to
over this
just put it
pandemic
on the
that,
computer.
yeah.
Believe me.
Okay.
We
Oh, that's
we can see you. We can hear you, Judy. Looking good.
You look great. Okay, so I'm going to back up. So my question to you was, how many years? And this is just a short one. We're going to get into it a little bit more later. But how many years have you been an artist? What's your medium? And how many years have you been in Five Artists, One Love? Do you remember the first time?
Yeah. I've been practicing as a visual artist for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I have done 3 Five Artists, One Love shows. The first one was in 2014 at the Citadel, the
Yes.
Citadel Theater.
Yeah,
and if I recall well, I think the theme was Get Lifted.
That's right. Yes, indeed. And oh, that's right. So we had actually moved for the first time we had tried doing the art show in another environment other than the AJA. So it was a grand experiment. It was interesting.
Can you turn up your volume a bit? I'm not hearing you very well.
Oh, okay.
And mine is at max right now.
Okay. I'm not really sure if I can do that from here, but is that any better right now?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yes, I do remember that. So my other question to you is, what is something that you find annoying, mildly annoying, and what is something that actually brings you joy?
About art?
In life, man, in life.
Oh, in life.
Because I want people to know you as artists, but I also want people to get a sense of who you are as people.
Well, everybody who knows me know that I'm crazy about gardening.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I have a garden at home, and I'm involved with a community garden in our area.
Yes.
Something I find annoying is folks not willing to do the work.
What do you mean by that?
And not willing to do the work when it comes to white privilege and racism.
Yes, yeah. And an apropos topic for what's happening in the world today, for sure.
Pardon me?
A good topic for what's happening in the world today right now, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we need allies to be doing better.
Yes.
Like there's no time for performative stuff right now. We got to get down to it and make the institutional changes that needs to happen.
Absolutely. And that's a nice segue into the actual title of the show, Black Every Day. And in short, it's a celebration of the amazing talent of Black artists within our city, and it also acknowledges the fact that yes, in fact, there is a movement towards combating anti-Black racism, and it needs to happen and it needs to continue. But one of the things that people need to sort of understand and acknowledge is that we are still Black every day, in spite of the fact that might be a trend for people right now to get on board, and that's wonderful. But we're still Black every day. We're out here. We are living our best lives as we can and dealing with these issues, whether or not it's at the front of the news feed or not. We are who we are, regardless. So it's been a 15-year journey to get us to this point. And I'm just very honored to have the wealth of talent that we have in the show. So I want to get into. I told you I'd give you a little bit more time to talk a little bit more about yourselves. And so Judy, I'm going to start with you, okay? And I just want to preface this by saying my first interaction with Judy was not as an artist. Many years ago, when I was a youngster, when I was still in college, I was a member of, I was fairly active in our Black community, and I was a member of a couple of organizations. One was
I remember that.
Yeah, the BSA, the Black Students Association, and the other organization was an organization called EBONY, which is a long acronym which stood for Edmonton Black Organization of Nubian Youth. And we were an organization that we were really focused on bringing in young Black people, and we would meet every week, and we wanted to bring these people in, and we wanted to just sort of celebrate their Blackness, and also acknowledge that a lot of these young people were the minorities in their classrooms, and they were also subjected to an overall narrative about if you're Black, you should be a certain way, and you should aspire to certain things. And we wanted to shatter those notions and open up doors. And so what we would do is we would bring in Black artists, Black business people, therapists, lawyers, doctors, people in the community that were making a difference, and showing these young people that there were options. If you wanted to be a baller, you wanted to delve into hip hop, you could do that, but you could also do so much more. And at that time, Judy was somewhat of a force of nature that we were all in awe of and respect. And she'd been doing it much longer than we had, and sort of represented the generation ahead of us. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I had enough respect for you before I even knew you, as an artist, and that was a real gift to see what it was that you were doing artistically. So my question now is, how was it that you became an artist? How did this? You said 10 years. So how did that happen for you?
Well, good question. It was an evolution of sorts. I've always been interested and curious about art and its influence. And it seems unconsciously I've been positioning myself near to art communities. For example, as a curator of African Heritage Gallery, as well as a volunteer and patron of several art events here in Edmonton.
Yes.
And the interesting thing is, about 10 years ago, and I'm getting a little choked up with this.
It's okay. It's okay.
My son recognized my hidden potential, and he gifted me a birthday present of an art course and materials.
Wow.
And that was a eureka moment of sorts for me. And he has continued to feed that beast, so to speak.
So your son introduced you to this.
Yeah, very intuitive young man. When I paint, all noise are diminished.
Yes.
It is all consuming and therapeutic for me. Usually I would explore a thought with a sketch. Guys, I had no intention of crying today.
No,
this is pissing me off.
No.
Hey, no, when the spirit takes you.
You know what? I
was going to come here all bold and brave.
No.
Anyways, I usually explore a thought with a sketch or outline a story that will develop further with my paintbrush and my palette knife.
Yeah.
Most of my pieces are informed by my community activism.
Yes.
As well as my people's history and the mundane too. Every piece starts in a black canvas, and in my mind, I'm challenging the ancestors to guide, and that's an honor.
Oh, yes. Awesome. Thank you, Judy. And you know what? It's a visceral response. We're talking about something that is passionate, something that is indelibly connected to our soul and what matters to us. So if it evokes feelings, it should. And so I thank you. I thank you for that. I thank you for being vulnerable and sharing with us.
Oh, I don't know about the vulnerable today.
Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great, man.
You got me welling up already a little, George.
I know, man. I can't. Don't let it start, because I do the ugly cry. My lip gets wet. I shake. You don't want to see that. I wouldn't do it to you. Thank you. Thanks for sharing a little bit of insight into your craft and your process. I'm going to ask you a couple more questions later about the thought process that goes into what it is that you create. Right now, I'm going to go to AJ, and okay. I'm going to ask this gentleman as well a few questions. But what I want to do also is I want to know what is the moniker that you prefer to go by, because I have muralist and I have graffiti artist, and I know that some people are very particular about that. It's like, I'm a graffiti artist or I'm a muralist, and the two of them seem to be separate. What do you prefer to be referred to as?
I'm good with both. I mean, I find them not mutually exclusive. So I think first, I'm a human being, that's it. And I love making and building and designing things, and whatever form that takes in the moment, I'll assume that role for as long as it suits me.
Okay,
I'd say a bit of both. A little column A, a little column B.
Good. You're not going to be begrudging me later.
No,
I can't believe you call me a graffiti artist. Okay, good.
No, we're good.
Good. I wonder, how is it that you became an artist? How did it start for you? How did you hold on to this and make it grow?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like I said kind of earlier, I've always been making art and drawing and painting, but I think I started to see myself as an artist primarily the last decade, or maybe even 13 or 14 years or so. It wasn't like a light switch where all of a sudden I was like, aha, I'm an artist. That's all I am, or that's my main mode of being. Right. But yeah, I went to school for sciences for a while. I love learning. I'm really passionate about just acquiring knowledge and finding new ways to see the world. And I just didn't, I always did well in school and liked being in school. But after a while, I started to get disillusioned with science as a career for me.
Okay.
And so I just
science is what your focus was.
Oh yeah, for sure. Botany. I love plants too. So Judy, when you're talking about gardening, I love plants, and then mostly the biological sciences I was really into. But I dipped my toes in everything. So astrophysics. I took a few intro courses to astronomy, and I was looking in that direction. And then biochemistry I had to take, all of that stuff too. And I actually find I use a lot of that knowledge in my artwork today. Still, but I just sort of found my way to being an artist. Graffiti started to take more and more of my time and more of my attention, and so I started to wonder if there's a way where something that was kind of closer to some of my activities in graffiti and street art could maybe become part of my career too.
Okay, awesome. How old were you when you actually started doing the graffiti?
It depends on how you want to define it, but like even in middle school, I was drawing on stuff with markers and getting in trouble.
Okay. When did you pick up a spray paint can?
A spray can? Oh, that was about 18 years ago was probably the first time that I really started playing with one to make art.
Yeah.
But even before then, I was spray painting my bike or my skateboard and stuff like that.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. Thank you. I'm gonna go on to another question. The Black Everyday exhibit. How has that been for you guys so far?
For me, it was an interesting opportunity for sure. I'm just getting a little bit of feedback in the audio.
So am I. I'm not really sure why. Okay. Actually, what I'm going to do is, it looks like we have a video here, and it basically shows your process. So can we show that film, and then you can guide us through that? Wow. So that's going to that's awesome. So what I'm going to need to hear is, what was it that that was magical? What was it we were looking at? I want you to start off with some of the projects that the video had initially started with, and then we're going to segue into what it was that you presented and put together for the Black Everyday exhibit. The videos that we just showed depict your work in the community, and then it went into the actual work that you put in this show. So we're gonna switch it up a little bit, and I'm gonna get you to answer that, and then I'm gonna follow up with Judy, and we're gonna get an opportunity to see some of her work first. So go ahead, AJ. Tell us, what is it we were looking at?
Sure. Yeah. I just that video had they say a picture says 1,000 words, so hopefully a video can explain even more. So that video just showed 4 different projects that I've worked on that I feel are kind of representative of the different types of work I'm doing today. I do a lot of work in community, so a lot of collaborative work. Like I mentioned, I love making murals. I love painting at a large scale, and spray paint lends itself to that. And I also love collaborating and teaching too. So I love sharing my skills and leveraging the skills and knowledge that I have to help other people achieve a vision or have themselves feel seen in the world. So the video that you saw first was from a project down in Sutuna, which is a First Nation near Calgary. And I work with the community there, a lot of youth, some friends from the past too I got to collaborate with, and we created a pair of murals together. So one was more just expressing the youth's vision and some of their experimentation with spray paint, and came out in the format of lettering. So that was the bright, colorful mural near the very beginning. Just showed a quick clip of that. And then the blue tone mural that had a bunch of figures in it was a mural that was based on all our research. So we went to the museum in Sutuna that has a lot of artifacts and historical photographs of older members of the nation and people that have passed, some of the ancestors. And we found a way to look through that archive and find things that connected with us.
Yes.
So when I say us, I mean the students that I was teaching, and then the artist team as well. And we used all these historical photos to compose an image that spoke about the history of the Tsuut'ina Nation and some of the values and things that are important to them too. And so there were.
AJ, how did you connect with? Did they reach out to you? I'm sorry. Did they reach out to you, or did you reach out to them? How did you initially get that connection?
Well, I had personal connection, so I'm in a couple of different graffiti crews, and one of the crews, one of the crew members is actually that's his heritage. He's from Tsuut'ina. He lives down there now. And I was also part of a City of Calgary project called the Street Art Program for Youth. I was the lead for the project for several years in a row, and so that was one of our projects. I did about 4 years as lead of that project. And what we wanted to do was find a way to indigenize the program, find a way to be putting art not just in downtown Calgary where people that live in Calgary Center can look at it, but find a way to expand that audience and also to expand the communities who can feel seen when they see the artwork too. So that was the connection there.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. And then
you've got, sorry, I was just going to say that part of that video also showed your work at the AJA that's been hung up there right now, Constellation.
Yeah. So
if I haven't, sorry, I hope I didn't cut you off.
No.
If you want to expound on what happened there, how did you create this masterpiece?
Yeah, for Constellation, I was really interested in doing something that kind of engaged with the sense of authenticity of knowledge that you get when you go into a gallery space or even a museum. So, when you go into a gallery, sometimes you see art on the wall and you're like, okay, this is art. It's in a gallery. It must be art.
Yes. Yeah.
It has a tendency to authenticate the work in there. So I wanted to leverage some of that power, that sense of authenticity that comes with the space. And I wanted to leverage that and just hoist up my weird Blackberry myth that formed this piece.
Blackberry myth. Come on,
yeah,
man.
For sure. Yeah. So the concept behind the piece is that we recovered these fragments from a dig. So this archaeological dig, we recovered these fragments from under a barn in southern Alberta. And what we were able to kind of elucidate is that the roof of this personal conservatory had collapsed, and on the roof, on the ceiling of this space, this personal observatory, were painted all these figures from history and from what we'd call present day today, and that we'd recovered these things and then tried to reassemble them on a wall as best we could. And so that was kind of the idea here. And really, I use this piece as a metaphor for this this digging activity that occurs when we think about identity. When we try and piece together identity from these figures where we draw inspiration when we build ourselves. So that was kind of the idea, is this exploration of identity with this metaphor of excavation.
That's amazing. And what was the process? How did that go to actually transform that space into what it was that you wanted? It was
a really valuable process for me. Like I said earlier, the most joyous times in my life are often when I'm in the middle of a painting or a project or in the middle of making. It's not when I step back and look at the final piece. That's not when I get the most joy, but when I'm in the middle of it. And so for this piece, I thought a lot about identity. I was digging through myself and who are the archetypes in my life? How did I construct my own identity? And I tried to reverse engineer it a little bit and break it down into these discrete archetypes. And that's what some of those that you see on the wall. And the idea is that there's gaps between the figures that leave room for other archetypes as I continue this active excavation.
And the actual range of the personalities that you have up there, I see LeVar Burton to Malcolm X. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, I think, I grew up in a small town on the prairies. And when I was looking for these archetypes to construct myself, I had a limited palette to draw from. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
see blackness much in the world around me. It was often skewed into these narrow stereotypes. And, I was really nerdy growing up. I love computers. I love, like I said, I went to school for sciences.
yeah.
I was always fascinated by that aspect of the world. And so when I saw Geordie LaForge on Star Trek, I saw myself. I saw this engineer, this person who was respected for their knowledge and their intelligence, and not respected for athleticism or for
That's
being
right.
tough or for being a
Yes.
lyricist or anything like that. And
Yeah.
so I felt seen in a way that was really powerful and formative for me at that age. And so many of the other figures I connected to for similar reasons, because when I saw them, I felt seen in a way that I didn't see when I watched Cops on TV and saw black
dear.
person after black person getting arrested. And
That's right.
these other ways that I saw our shared identity as people of color being skewed into these very narrow spaces, these very narrow archetypes. And so
Yes.
actually I refer to some of those narrow archetypes through the Sambo character that's on the wall as well.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. And I completely can relate to the notion of seeing a black man in the future in space. The fact that we were there was acknowledged. And and if you're coming from a small town and what you have to draw from is limited, you grab onto what you can, because of course we want to step outside of those confines of stereotypical roles. So an absolute gift to have that piece in the space for sure. I'm wondering if we have Judy. Are you available? There we go. Hi, Judy.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can see you.
I'm actually back on my computer. We'll see how that goes.
Good. You're going to have an opportunity to to discuss and share your piece. That is one of your pieces that's up in the show. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but I want to say Maafa.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration for you, Judy, and what was the process?
Well, a big part of my art is about my people's history, as I've said earlier.
Yes.
And one of that is the Atlantic slave trade. And
yes,
the word Maafa is the Swahili word for a terrible occurrence, such as a Holocaust. And I'm sure today most people would know that this triangular trade in the Atlantic played a vital role in building the foundation for a stronger competitive economies of the West, for the Portuguese, for the British, for the French, the Spanish, the Dutch, and later the Americans. The first side of this calamitous triangle took products from Europe to Africa, such as guns and factory-made trinkets. The second side of that triangle was cargoes of enslaved Africans,
yes,
brought to the Americas to work on the plantation in what they called the New World. The third side entails goods to Europe from the New World, products of the slave labor, and that would be cotton, tobacco, rum, cane sugar, spices, gold, silver, and a lot of timber for the booming shipping industry in Europe. In the painting Maafa, color and symbolism play a big part and speaks to the horrible story of exploitation that was occurring in that slave trade. The red and gold symbolizes the monumental loss of Africa in exploited trade relationships, one of pure profit and navigational breakthroughs. Nothing for Africa. The menacing shark silhouette dominating the Atlantic Ocean is indicative of the cannibalistic nature of capitalism. And today we experience is white supremacy. We know that dead and murdered Africans forever changed the shark genome of the region. They had a new, rich diet of bodies. Paradoxically, Black people traverse the Atlantic in chains to keep companies such as Lloyd of London in the black, and to include banks like Barclays.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that is where the story is coming from.
So, I mean, your work speaks to the fact that, well, it comes from a place of ancestral connection, as you've said.
Yes.
And it clearly, when one looks at your work and you see heritage, you see tradition, there's religious imagery when I see your work, and clearly there's history. Sorry?
Darren, one of the most important thing to me in my art,
yes,
is the importance of memory.
Yes.
We cannot move forward without memory to inform the solutions of the future. Yes.
And that answers my question. Why is that so powerful? Why is that important to you? Why is that embedded in your work? My other question then is there a theme, Judy, or a subject that you would like to explore further in your work that you have not yet, looking forward?
I'd say to correct the distorted discourse. When history has been written, it's usually by the victor.
By the victor, yes.
Yes. We haven't had an opportunity to correct that discourse.
Okay.
It's important that we get, how should I say, that we're removed from the margin and the marketplace.
Yes.
And what's the word? And brought into the main spaces.
Yeah.
To include, our archives and documentation.
Yes.
We're not there yet.
No.
And I query, in 100 years, what would Edmontonians know of the Black people who lived here? What would they know of Carrie West? If we do not inform our art and our documentation, it's like we never lived.
That's right. And I see art as an integral part of that that narrative, because it's the storytellers, it's the artists that pass culture and history forward. And 2021, in spite of the introduction of technology and such, it'll still be us. It'll be the artists. It'll be the storytellers, the writers, the poets that will speak of what we've done and where we've been. So, AJ, I've got a question for you, brother. You ready for this?
Let's hear it.
All right. So art is often, mural work and graffiti art is often seen as a creative space making. So I'm curious, like, how has the location of your work influenced, like, its outcome? Like, what are the best responses that you've received from a piece that you've done publicly?
Oh, two good questions. So as a muralist, I really take the physical and like geographical context of the space that I'm working in as a big point of inspiration, as something I need to think about constantly, because I mean, it informs so many other things about the piece. It informs who's going to see it. It informs the audience in a sense too. Just that physical context is a really big part of muralism. And so for this specific space, one of the big things I was thinking about was this idea of authenticity, this idea of who decides what is art and what makes an art official. And so that's really what I wanted to engage with this piece, is again to support the idea of this this validation of knowledge that having something appear in a gallery or museum setting can give. And I wanted to leverage that and play with it and twist it a little bit and use it to support this Blackberry myth, this idea that we found these fragments of a collapsed observatory, this personal observatory that somebody had used to observe the stars.
Yeah.
And I mean that in more than one way. And I wanted to make that myth real, and I wanted the gallery's sense of authenticity to do the heavy lifting there, for have people walk in and see the piece and think at least for a second that maybe that's really what it was, that it was recovered from this dig, that it was results of this archaeological dig, this excavation. And so that's how place played into this piece in particular. Other than there's the technical things like the size and proportions of the wall. Those were important to me too. But I also thought about the orientation of the wall. So when you're looking at this wall, it basically faces west out of the gallery. And when you look at the star pattern that's hand painted onto the wall and onto the panels themselves, it actually lines up with the star groupings in the sky that you would see if you were to look out. If the walls had all collapsed to the gallery, but you're still standing on that floor, those are the stars that you see. That's the organization of stars. And so you can see the Big Dipper. You can see, Orion's belt. So if you see Marsha P. Johnson in the mural, if you're able to go see it in person, you'll see that there's 3 stars above her head. And those are actually the 3 stars from Orion's belt. So I've repurposed and remade these constellations. So that was another thing I was thinking about is, but the position of the gallery in space, but also the position of the Earth in the larger galaxy and universe, and this idea of alignment there. And so the stars, if you were to look out today, don't quite align, but if you were to look out in 2031, 10 years from now in February, around the dates that were actually installed the mural, that's when the stars would align with the mural itself. So there's this idea of, I wanted to play with anachronism a little bit and talk about these figures from the past. You'll see Amanda Gorman in there too, who is a more contemporary figure. So we're talking about this timelessness of both this dig for identity, but also the timelessness of blackness, so Nefertiti's in the mural as well.
Yes.
So I draw this lineage from far in the past, and hopefully my intent is to draw it far into the future too. Because like you mentioned, Darren, when we saw Geordie LaForge on TV, we said, whoa, Black people exist in the future. We're still here in the future. We made it, so and that was a powerful feeling to me. It's like, okay, what does blackness look like in the future? Who are we in the future?
Yes.
And so that's one of the things that I wanted to engage with when you speak about context of space. That was one of the things I was thinking about.
Oh, awesome! That's fantastic. We're actually going to. I'm going to expedite this a little bit, and I'm going to ask a question or two, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So we might go a little bit over 4, but if you're okay with that, I've just got a question or two for both of you. So let's take a look at the social political climate that we're currently in right now. And if you could just briefly tell me how that has influenced your practice. 2021, this is a remarkable time on many levels. How has it affected your work? And can I assume that you're actually producing work now, even outside of the context of the gallery show?
Yeah, definitely. I was in the studio today before this.
Oh wow. Okay. And so, how would you say this time is? And we have to kind of move it a little quickly, but I'm curious, like, how's it influenced your practice this 2021? And we're talking about the social political climate and the fact that we're in the midst of a pandemic. Judy, I'll go with you. I'll let you go first.
Okay. It hasn't impacted my painting.
It has not.
In fact, I think it has made it more relevant. My art intentionally explores the complexity of human condition, especially psychological implications.
Yes.
And again, memory is, in my mind, memory is essential to enduring change.
Yes.
When crafting that just society.
Mm-hmm.
It is critical to Black emancipation and liberation. So what we're experiencing now, it's probably in real time getting to us faster, but nothing has really changed. Okay. Well, as Will Smith said, it's been filmed.
Okay, yes. Good answer. What about you, AJ?
Yeah, so in terms of some of the social awareness that's going on, I don't feel like that has really changed my practice a ton. You know, it's like Judy mentioned, I think many of us have been making this art for a while, making art about these subjects for a while, because we're Black every day. We're dealing with this stuff every day. We live it every day. So I've often made art about being Black, about some of the challenges of perception in places like North America and those things.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't feel like this stuff has affected my personal work much. In terms of the pandemic side of things, it has affected my practice a little, just in terms of the collaborating. I love to collaborate, and for murals in particular, it's really helpful to be able to collaborate in person. You know, we kind of want to be on site at the same time, at the same wall at the same time, so we can really speak to each other through the paint and have the conversation occur on the wall in real time.
Now you're limited.
And now that's limited a little bit, but you know, we're artists, we are creative, we pivot. So, you know, I've been doing, instead of my regular in-person workshops, I created a video workshop series that teaches people about expressive lettering and that kind of thing. So that's been part of the pivot.
Outstanding. One of the reasons I asked that question, we've got about 1 more minute left, but one of the reasons I asked that question is because I've spoken to a number of not just visual artists, but musicians and vocalists and so on. And one of the things that people sort of talk about struggling with is always wanting to have time to create, but in the regular world, you have to fight and scratch out a space and time to actually create. Now that a lot of people find that they do have that time, the circumstances have drawn from their ability to actually create. So for the first time, I've got a musician who complained about wanting time to practice. They've got time to practice, but because of the circumstances, the motivation has been drawn from them. And you're saying that for you, that you did not experience that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate for me. I make art full time now too. I'm very lucky and grateful to be able to say that. So wow. Yeah, that's what I do with all my time anyway. So
outstanding. Hello, Michael. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Darren. So, you know, I popped up on the screen, which means we're going to go to a Q&A. So if you have any questions for the artists or for the curators, please add them to the chat. We currently don't have anything. Oh, wait. So actually, we have a question from Rachel, and they say, curious about the logo of the elephant with the mic and the paintbrush. So Darren, this is a question for you. Do you have anything to add about that?
Yeah, I do. So there's a great deal of intention behind the design. Five Artists, One Love at its genesis, as I mentioned, was an art show, and it was an art show exclusively for 5 years. And on the 5th year, when we got invited to do the show at the Art Gallery at the AJA, I realized that it required money. So prior to that, I had been paying out of pocket, and we drew from goodwill from the community, and we had this amazing event. But we had to find a way to generate some revenue so that we could actually pay the bills for being in the AGA. And so we did an experiment, and it became basically it was a music show that outlined, it chronicled Black music as it left Africa and then hit North America, and then how it evolved. So we did everything from spirituals to Mississippi Delta blues to bebop to hip hop, and that was a story. And so at that moment, Five Artists, One Love changed. It became something else. It was an art show, but it was also this production. So everything from poetry to music to art. And so when you look at the elephant, the elephant represents family, because the creatures are very family oriented. And they're a force of nature. And in its trunk, it's holding a microphone, which speaks to the music and the poetry. And it's also holding the paintbrush, which speaks to the art. And the other meaning as well is that Five Artists, One Love likes to sort of challenge certain notions and conventions. And sometimes the conversations that we have are not always comfortable. They're not always comfortable. But they're safe, right? These conversations are being done in a manner that is safe for everybody, but we are totally okay being the elephant in the room. So that's what it's all about.
Okay, great. I have another question from Essence, and it's for both artists. what is your favorite piece of art and why?
Good question.
Oh, it's actually, what is your favorite piece of art that you've created and why?
Oh, I can jump in on that one. I would say it would be the last piece that I've done. That lasts for about 10, 15 minutes after I finish the piece, and then I start to deconstruct it, and then I got to go paint something else.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm really in love with the process.
For me, actually,
Yeah.
the one that you can see behind me in the screen, and it's titled Pando, and Pando refers to forest, where literally one tree is responsible for populating the whole forest.
Okay.
And in my mind, it's a strong indication of our connectedness.
Yes.
Great.
Our interconnectedness.
Fantastic.
Okay, so I have another question. This is from Monty Love. How do you keep your creative juices flowing? And I think it's for both artists.
For me, I could be motivated by words. So sometimes it's just reading an article or listening to music, there's lots for me, but words play a big part.
Yeah, I can definitely connect and relate to that. Words are really important to me too, and as a powerful influence and point of inspiration. And I just living to, just gather experiences and having new and different experiences is important to me. Third one I would say is flavor. I love food so much, and oftentimes sometimes I wonder if I have slight synesthesia. When I taste something, I just see colors and groups and pairs, and I see a palette appear, and I just feel vigorously inspired. So that would be the key for me.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Okay, we have another question here. Thank you for sharing this. They say, this is so beautiful. My question is, which artist, visual, poet, musician have you been following or has sparked joy for you in 2020 and 2021? And it's for everyone.
Great question.
I really like the primitivism of Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Oh yeah.
It's so organic. I really identify with that. I also like the excitement of the American artist Pollock with his action paintings. I find that I'd like to try that sometime. I find that excited. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I love Basquiat as well. I would say more contemporary for me is a gentleman by the name of Wiley. He's a gentleman that painted. He did Obama's painting in the White House, and it's a realism, but he has these vibrant colors and a really exciting. It's always done on this exciting background. But what he does is he takes everyday Black people and he puts them in these sort of classic poses, and it doesn't matter whether the guy is whether they're wearing Nikes and jeans or whatever. There's just this sense of strength and almost a regal feel of the subject when you look at his painting. That's my jam right now. How about you, AJ?
So many. I would say Giuseppe Ribera is probably my favorite painter, especially portrait artist. I saw a few pieces in person in Spain, in Madrid, and I can't get them out of my head. He just had an ability to turn paint into skin, and just it was incredible. I really love the installation artist Swoon too. She's just a really powerful, potent artist, and she combines different styles of image making in a way that I find really compelling and interesting, and has a great way of telling a story through installation. That's just got this really multifaceted nature to it that I find fascinating.
Great.
So we actually have a question that I'll be able to answer. Someone asked, or maybe Darren, you also know this off the top of your head, how long will the exhibition be up at the gallery for?
It's going to be up until September. I'm not sure what the final date is.
I have the 12th in my calendar.
Sounds good. So, and then that's a really good question. It should be noted that initially the show was scheduled to be in there from March until June, and due to the restrictions that were placed on us, the AJA was gracious enough to extend that date in hopes that we will have an opportunity for people to actually be in the space and experience this. I've been fortunate enough to actually see the show in person shortly after it was actually the day that it was actually finished. And it was almost a reverent experience. It almost felt like being in church. And when I left, if I was uncertain before, I was 100% certain that people need to be in the space to fully experience what I did. The work is powerful, it's compelling, it's beautiful, and it's intertwined perfectly and seamlessly with each artist in each area of the room. They've used the space really well, and I want people to see it. So up until September, it's up until September, and hopefully we'll have people in there. There is also there will probably be some sort of a virtual offering that we're still working on, which will be wonderful. But when those I said when those restrictions are lifted, I urge people to make the time to go and see what your city is offering here. We've got some fantastic artists there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it truly is a fantastic show. I have another question. This is from Vina. For both Judy and AJ, if you were to engage in a mentorship with emerging artists, what would be your focus and advice? Also, for your own journey at the moment, how do you foresee your work evolving? So there's two questions there. So the first one is, what would be your focus of advice?
I do lots of, or pre-pandemic, of course, I did a lot of different mentorship activities, and there's so many different things that I'd want to share and speak about and that kind of thing. But it really depends on the artist. So whoever the mentee was, I'd need to know what their goals were, what their vision was, and then kind of how I could help and what I could offer in that sense. So I'd say it's really contextual and case by case. I try to give people confidence, because I think that's something that is really valuable for us as artists and can really be a major difference maker. But just understanding that, your work is worthy, and just keep being an artist. You're doing something valuable.
Great. What about you, Judy?
I'd say to protect your authenticity more than anything else.
Yeah. That's some really good advice for emerging artists. And so the second part of the question is, how do you see your work evolving?
For me, it's, I've been doing this for a while, and I've really not exposed myself. I've been very picky as to who I collaborate with. For me right now, the fight is getting into other spaces like AJA. In fact, I would like to challenge the AJA to put this exhibition on the road. It will be it would be an amplification of forgotten voices.
Oh, outstanding.
Yeah, for me, I would say I'm always exploring like new technologies and tools. I just recently hired my first studio assistant. And so in terms of where my practice goes in the future, I would say more experimenting, more being uncomfortable more often, being out of my comfort zone and seeing where that can take me, and then asking for help more often too. So having a studio assistant means that I can do more lifting. You know, when I put all those panels on the wall, you saw Sam, my studio assistant, running around in fast forward, helping me get things onto the wall, physically helping me lift things, helping me cut things out. She has knowledge I don't have. So just asking for help and being more and more okay with being uncomfortable in my practice.
Nice.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Paulette wants to know, what is the major takeaway you hope young children will take away from your work? So the audience is all young children. What do you hope they get from the show?
can I jump in on that one as well?
Okay.
I'll share the microphone. But as curator, I want young people to know that that we're out there doing it. That you'll have a space, you'll have an opportunity to share your work, and that there will be something there, a platform there for you, should you decide to delve into this. And I want them to see themselves in the work. I want them to see that other Black men and women are producing art and this work on a very high level. And when you see yourself in something that you love or has potential for you, it's all the more motivation. So that's one of the things I'm hoping young people will take away when they come to our show.
Yeah, for me, I feel the same. I hope that people and young people that come to see the show can see themselves reflected in the work somehow. And I'd be so grateful if people got the same feeling that I get when I see a painting that I really connect with. Just I feel, like Darren said, it's almost like this, like almost a religious feeling, or almost this transcendent feeling of just deep connection. Often I'll feel in awe when I go into a gallery, and I've seen previews of some of the other artists' work, and it made me feel that feeling of being in awe and just feeling amazed. So I hope that young people can have that feeling and share that feeling when they come in and see the show.
Yeah.
I agree with both of you, and we want the children to know that we're fighting for them in terms of curriculum to make sure that it's not just an elective anymore, that art is critical to species survival, literally, because it's a accumulation of information that underpins technology. So we're going to make sure that they get a better world that we participated in.
All said,
beautifully said.
Well said, yeah.
So we have about a couple more minutes, so let's do one more check-in. I'm just checking the chat here. And Donna has, how easy or difficult is it for you to survive in your present environment as compared to if, for say, you were located in Vancouver? So just to rephrase that question, perhaps it is about, what's the influence of Edmonton has on your survival versus another environment? Perhaps that's a difficult question, but
Yeah,
maybe
I'm processing that right now, but I don't have an answer yet. So maybe somebody else can jump in.
If we're thinking of as an artist, I think Edmonton is a pretty vibrant artist community. We could do better in terms of access to the marginalized, but the very fact that Black Every Day is in our provincial museum, it's promising. It's promising. So I think it's getting better. And if as Canadians want to maintain a sense of multicultural identity, then you need to bring in the marginalized into the bigger spaces. And kudos to the AJA for taking that step.
Indeed. And coming at it from that lens as well, I would say Edmonton versus Vancouver, in terms of the art scenes, we've had a very vibrant art scene here, musically and with the visual arts and performing arts as well. And some have said that we have actually overshadowed some of the larger metropolises. So for little town Edmonton, we are, I think, acknowledged on the world stage that there's a lot of talent here. So our survival is based in people sort of understanding that and acknowledging that, and making spaces for this art and this work if it's not there. So keep it growing.
Yes, we need to be in the dominant structures. We are not there yet.
Absolutely.
AJ, do you have any last words or anything to add? with that question?
No, I think, yeah, I would agree with both of those. I feel lucky to live in Edmonton. I think there's a lot of good things going on here. There's definitely room for growth, but I see people out there doing the work too. So
yeah,
that would be my 2 cents.
Perfect. Well, we're pretty much at time. I'm just going to say thank you to Judy, Darren, and AJ for coming in and speaking about their work in this amazing show that's on. I can't wait until everyone's able to see it when, provincial guidelines say that, it's safe to do so. And thank you so much. Darren, Judy, and AJ, do you have any last words?
I just would urge people again to check out the website, 5artists1love.com. And again, you'll get a comprehensive overview about not only what 5 Artists 1 Love is as a whole, but also you'll be able to read up on all the artists that are presenting in the show, and you'll see their bios and get a photograph. So please take a look and spread the word. We look forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah, thanks to all who made it possible.
Indeed.
Greatly appreciate.
I'd love to thank everybody that just showed up in the audience and just came to bear witness to. That's such a valuable part. The art needs an audience, I feel at least. So appreciate you.
100%. 100%. And with that, I again want to thank the AJA and everybody else that was involved in making this happen. And Judy and AJ, thank you for your insights and again, your willingness to kind of open up and share what motivates you, what makes you passionate, and makes you feel a little emotional. So thank you for all of that.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, thanks.